Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff. We are going to dive in. We are short a host tonight. That is Chip. But Chip is he'll be back. Don't worry about that. Tonight we are going to get into Trump versus Kamala. The truth is exposed. And I also want to talk about Ripple, XRP, and cryptocurrency because of course we have to do that. There's still confusion out there between Ripple and XRP. Why do people keep interchanging those two? I don't know. We're going to find out, but there are a lot of truths in this reality that we have to dig into, and we are going to jump in. We're going to dive in to the shallow end head first, as Chip likes to say. So if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. So let's go. All right, let's go. Let's go. Good day, everybody. Give a quick shout out to where you guys are tuning in from. Appreciate that, El Jefe. Like that. That's either purposeful or just not wanting to shave at all, but coming in not too bad. I appreciate that. So, all right, where do we start? You know where I want to start first. I do want to, start off with a brief remembrance of all those who lost their lives on 9/11. We can never forget the tragedy that happened. And we can also never forget all the brave men and women who sacrificed overseas in protection of our freedoms back here at home. And as a starting point with all of that, I want to go through a couple X posts in commemoration of 9/11. And you know what? Normally, I'll start out 9/11 and rewatch all the events. And I expect all that, there to be so much conversation about what happened on those events. And everybody probably remembers that moment, remembers exactly where they were at that moment in time when you found out about the tragedy of the World Trade Center and beyond. So let's just pull this up. I want to start out with a post here from Rob Cash, starting out with this remembering 9/11. Something, and there some really good commentary that go through each and every one of these posts. And there was another one I found here. So looking for a good picture. And sometimes you'll be watching a show and you'll see the World Trade Center come up, and you'll look at the towers, and now you look at, and obviously the skyscape is completely different over there in New York. And sometimes I think that people seem to have forgotten, what actually happened on that day. So many years have really passed by since that point, and we have to keep moving on with our lives, and we have to look at what's going to be good for this country, what's good for other countries as well, because there's lots of people that tune in here from all over the world, and you're going to be passionate about making sure for the safety and security of your country, also the financial security of yourself and your family. It all kind of goes hand in hand. And I saw this post here from Eve Barlow, and she was mentioning, what's happening right now on college campuses, and they're wearing headbands and waving flags of the very terrorists that we fight against on a global scale, that are the antithesis of all of the freedoms that we really many times take for granted here in this country. So a lot of things had happened on that day, and as you kind of go through some of these the videos that we had seen that popped up as a direct result. But then I wanted to put this up. I thought this was really important because there's going to be a lot of commentary, a lot of discourse on Donald Trump, and Trump hasn't really changed much over the years, and he's basically said the same things. And all those people that have some disdain for him in the media and in Hollywood, they all to a person had embraced him back in the day, and loved him, and the politicians begged him for money. But here you go. Where was Donald Trump on 9/11? What exactly was happening? on that day. So let me just play this real briefly. Looks like someone posted this from Getty Images. That's what it looks like there. I can't really say, or Get Images. I'm not sure exactly what that says there, but let's just play this here.
Fine. I think we'll do fine.
Donald, what do you think about all this? You're a developer. You've built buildings all your life.
Well, there's never been anything like this. It's disgraceful, and I hope we attack fast. I hope we find out who it is and go fast. Okay.
Why'd you want to come down here today?
I have about 100 men working down here, so just to spur them on. Hi, folks. Hi, folks. I have over 100 men out, and I hear doing an amazing job, so I just want to give them some support.
These are men from here in development?
Yeah, men from my company. We have another 100 coming in a little while.
And how long have they been down here?
They've been down here for about a day and a half.
What have you talked to other developers? Are they donating their time, their men's work?
Well, I hope they are. I haven't really focused on that, but we have a lot of people coming down here and a lot of people down here now, and they're brave guys. A couple of them got hurt, but I'm just want to spur them on a little bit.
What did you think when you heard about this?
I was just down to Ground Zero. Ground Zero is a disaster. I've never seen anything like this. I hope we act very quickly. I hope we find out who did it and act accordingly and quickly.
Do you have any plans to donate money to the Widows and Children's Fund for the fallen firefighters?
I've done it over the years, and it certainly sounds like a good idea.
It's like a good idea. And there you go. That's how things, were then. That was Donald Trump a number of years back. And as a persona, he hasn't changed. We know where he stands. We know, how passionate he is about the people, about this country. Nothing has changed. Nothing shifted. And so, I thought that was kind of a really important starting point, especially, given the political climate, the political, season. So, and there's Chip. He's about to step onto a plane. There you go. And he's in New York on 9/11. So there you have it. All right. Fly safe. Make sure you're keeping safe and all that good stuff. That's from Rob McDermott, who just made it back in town. So, which is good. He's back from Europe. Let's see. He said, back to the salt mine after F1 in the Netherlands and another week. And there you go, Rob, going to Formula One over in the Netherlands. Nice. There you go. I like that. Like that. I need to grow a beard. There you go. There you go. Who agrees? Put it in the commentary. See what we got. All right. So let's move on. Let's go to some crypto news. Then we're going to go into revealing some of the truths of the events that took place last night. And I'm sure you guys know what happened last night, but I was kind of going through this. I want to save some of the commentary for some of the political commentary here after we get into the crypto side, the blockchain, the DeFi. So this showed up on Blockworks, Atlas. Now everything is constantly in this like hyper development phase. We look at XRP. Where's XRP in terms of development? The XRPL. There's been a lot of discourse. There's also a lot of turmoil going on in the space right now. And sometimes discourse, turmoil could be good. Sometimes it could be very detrimental, maybe to the point where it goes away or it completely loses its traction, its leadership position in the technology. But here we go. Because we've got interesting technology. It's Atlas is merging the speed of Solana with the security of Ethereum, regardless of what people think about Ethereum. But Elpis Labs has launched a private testnet for Atlas, a blockchain aiming to combine the high performance required by financial institutions with the transparency and security offered by DeFi. And I find it really interesting. More platforms, more technology that is coming specifically for the financial institution space, kind of this one target area that Ripple tried to dominate with their platform, and the XRPL kind of built in and around this notion that it could be used, properly for movement of money. But here we go. There's a lot of technologies that are focused on, and we're in a blockchain environment. If you can move money fast and you can move it inexpensively, then why not, build the technology? So here's Atlas is optimized for financial application that require low transaction cost, high availability, fast pre-confirmations, and frequent Oracle updates, prerequisites for what the term calls verifiable finance. I like just that sentence. I understand exactly what they do, and what their use case is. And you can already imagine, how it can be used in a B2C environment or a B2B environment. But fast pre-confirmation, if you're trying to replace or maybe create the backbone for credit cards, or maybe a new solution within the credit card type environment, or fast, continuous, always available transaction for fast pace or high volume retail, I think could be really good. There's obviously a lot of other opportunity to build with it. Here it says here, Phoenix, an order book based spot exchange on Solana, has processed over 50 billion in unincentivized trading volume, meaning no points and no token. So it's kind of interesting, when you get into it, when we look at, so here's what kind of use case, like we're talking about here. We have spot and programmable order books, margin trading, order book based lending, and efficient credit markets. And so just the whole scenario of what can happen, what is it going to become the backbone for? So if it can kind of become a backbone for a lot of a new exchange, a better exchange, it all could really feed nicely. But obviously there's just, I like highlighting because it's brand new technology, something, or it's a new direction or a new build on technology, and really on innovation of this space and trying to build and develop. But it's really kind of cool. Chad is saying Atlas showing up to the concert after the second opening act has left the stage. There you go. That's how I look at it. You don't always have to be first necessarily if you're rolling out a technology platform. Sometimes first mover advantage can help out a lot, but sometimes those that are in that first phase go away, disappear, and never to be heard from again. Whereas you still have that solid group that will still maintain. If we look at like with the software hardware battles of the 80s, then you had the .com of the late 90s, early 2000s. Who's still around, who's just holding on by a thread, and who did very, very well. Some had first mover advantage and are gone. They might still be out there, but they're no leaders in the space anymore. Think about, even from a internet provider perspective, you got like an AOL.com still around. You can still access the website, but it's nowhere near what it used to be at its height. And so we're going to continue seeing development within this blockchain crypto space as well. So let's kind of move down here. Now, here's another one. I found this to be kind of interesting, and I think it's very poignant because there's the YouTube crypto XRP fanboys out there that keep talking about how the left, the Democrats, are somehow going to wake up one day and start embracing crypto, embracing blockchain, getting on the positive side of blockchain. So I found this to be kind of interesting because what just happened? Oh, the lawmakers actually met, right, to actually discuss our financial system, DeFi, and where it all fits together. Now, what is interesting about it is that there is a clear divide down party lines, which, if you listen to what Chip and I talk about, it's an obvious divide. It's a very clear divide. There's a few on the left that will embrace crypto and have been there from the beginning, like Darren Soto in Orlando, from Orlando, representative who was up in Orlando. But for the most part, the majority of the Democrats have been against cryptocurrency, and especially the outspoken ones. Whereas you have the outspoken GOP Republicans that are in favor of crypto, and then the party line division, the other side, not so pro crypto. And it keeps coming out over and over and over and over. At some point, you have to wake up and you have to say, you know what? I don't think that those that are on the left actually support the technology that I'm either building on, or building within, or I'm investing in. And when they don't support it, why would you support them? Or why would you continue to support them expecting a different outcome, a different result? Just like, Einstein's theory of insanity, which is repeating to do the same thing over and over again, yet expecting a different result. And this is the same thing. I mean, how many times can you bang your head into the wall to anticipate that they're going to change? Like, is Kamala going to change and all of a sudden support crypto? Maybe she'll have a wake up, but based on her ideology and her control and the things that she believes that need to be handed out, that government should take care of the people and the people, should lose more rights, then you would expect that they wouldn't also support DeFi. So just like Chad just so succinctly said, all DeFi means is freedom. The left wants control, full stop. They don't want that freedom. They don't want you to have freedom of financial access. They don't want to have those that we could deem unbanked will have ready access to banking in a digital environment. Think about how hard it is to get a bank account if there's no bank branches within your community. If you have to drive 45 minutes to an hour or go outside of your community to then go find a bank branch, there's high likelihood that you probably aren't banking. And unfortunately, there's a segment within our society in the United States, and we've talked about it before, that live paycheck to paycheck. But the thing is, their paycheck is cashed either at party stores or cash checking stores that will cash their check. And many times when they cash their check, it could be at ridiculous percentages. It could be 15, 20, 25, 30% of their paycheck in fees because they don't have a bank account. Now, we think maybe it's only in third world developing countries, but there's many countries around the world that are in that developing status, maybe more advanced, maybe less advanced, but having easy access to banking is very difficult. And it's one thing, Chip and I have talked about this a lot, the freedom that can be brought to the people at large to have direct access to a means of earning and a means of banking, a means of earning interest, and a means of accumulating wealth beyond banking infrastructure means a lot. It could change many lives, but it can change our future outcome, which is super, super meaningful. Now, when you have those from the political echelon that don't believe this, that want to do the exact opposite, and they're trying to limit your access, then you could say, well, they don't support your freedom. They want to limit your access to the technology. They want to limit your access to the banking. They want to limit your access to actually do well and better for yourself, because there's a segment of society that there's certain members within government that would prefer to have them subservient to the government than to help them improve their stature and their status. That's just the reality of it. Now, here, I find it interesting because you have the Republican subcommittee chair, French Hill, opened the hearing by stating substituting intermediaries for autonomous self-executing code, decentralized finance can shift the way the financial markets and transactions are currently structured and governed. There's one who's on the pro side. That was French Hill. He's a Republican. He advocated for a peer-to-peer future where the Canadian Prime Minister of the future can't freeze your bank account just for going to a protest. If you remember what happened up in Canada, they froze bank accounts, they froze credit cards. A reference to right there. Okay. Obviously, a court ruled it's unconstitutional. You can't do something like that. Then you have crypto critics like the Shermanator, Brad Sherman, out in California. You would think of all places, California, the bread and butter, the bread basket, so to speak, of technology, right? This is where it all started. You would think the congressional representatives would want to embrace technology and embrace the innovation, but Shermanator, Brad Sherman, is completely against DeFi. And what does he continue to say? He claims DeFi is only used for crime, sanction evasion, and tax evasion. That's it. That's what he believes it's used for. He said, what we have here is an effort to liberate billionaires from income tax, he says. I mean, it couldn't be such polar opposites, right? You have one group that believes in the freedoms to give back to the people, and another group that believes that the people shouldn't have the freedoms. It's black and white. It's so clear. 2024 is about that. It's a black and white vote. It's, do you want freedom or do you want less freedom? That's it. You know, it's a very clear outcome. He says here, Director of Research at Coin Center and hearing witness Peter Van Valkenburg argued that regulators have not given the crypto industry enough guidance on how to comply and avoid situations such as tax evasion. Now, you could have tax evasion on a large scale. You can have it on a small scale. If you're spending your crypto on a credit card and not filing the correct reports from a tax perspective, every expenditure of a crypto is a taxable event in the United States. So it's just super simple, right? If you spend it and you have a gain, then you owe tax. If it's a loss, then you don't. And I believe for the most part, it's first in, first out. That's how it's addressed. So if you have, you're spending it from a certain source and you bought XRP when it was a penny and you bought additional XRP when it was $1 and you go to spend it today and you're spending it at 50 cents, it's going to take first in, first out the XRP that you acquired at a penny, not at $1 if it's coming from the same wallet source. So, and I think that's one of the issues. That is the complexity of using XRP or Bitcoin or any of the others directly as legal tender, and it could be very problematic. And we need some clarity on that. And it's not a fair scenario because if you're earning in a currency, why should you have to spend or pay tax on your currency as an investment, especially if you're claiming that earning already as earnings that you're paying income tax on? Very difficult, very, very difficult scenario to be in. And there's no clarity. But the one thing is you have a certain group within politics that want every last penny they can squeeze out of you. That's why if you think about the best tax would be a flat tax or a fair tax, which would be a consumption tax, no income tax, no property tax, just base it on consumption tax. If I spend my money and I buy something, I pay a tax. If I don't spend my money, guess what? I keep 100% of my earned money and I don't buy anything. Then billionaires, if they're going to buy jets, they're going to pay a much higher tax rate than at the end of the day. Not the tax rate's going to be the same, but they're going to pay a far higher dollar amount in taxes, which they typically already do, but they're going to pay it based on consumption. And Chip is right. The best tax is no tax, but obviously we get back to the core of what the government is supposed to do. The government is supposed to just collect in order to support community need, which would be roads, water, power, certain things that have to be regulated within infrastructure, etc. Obviously, first line of defense with police, fire, etc. So, you know, they've obviously gone way out of control when they give themselves raises, when they send billions and billions and billions of dollars to countries that don't care about us, that actually want to harm us. You know, all this stuff doesn't really make any sense. And it goes on and on. Here, senior policy analyst at Americans for Financial Reform, Mark Hayes, described the crypto and DeFi industries as highly volatile, scam-laden, and extremely predatory, which exposes investors to substantial financial losses. Now, I'm sure it happens, right? Because it's very speculative. If you're investing in a speculative asset, then what do you anticipate the outcome is? There's a high probability of loss. There's a high, uh, really high percentage gain if it turns out in your direction. But there's also a high probability chance of loss when it's very speculative. It's not all highly volatile. There's scams in every industry. We get phone calls all the time from who knows where of people claiming to be Microsoft. You read about it, you see them on YouTube. There's scams going on a regular basis. People are taking people's credit cards, ongoing scams. So they're going to shut down one industry because they say they're scams. It's not the vehicle, it's the people perpetrating the scam. It's just another vehicle they can scam with. I mean, that's what is it. Just they miss the point time and time again on that. Here you have Amanda Tuminelli, the chief legal officer at DeFi Education Fund, said in her opening statement that traditional finance relies on intermediaries that often serve as gatekeepers to finance, and just spot on with that point. And so it just kind of went on and on and on, but there was a clear outcome of this whole event that took place yesterday, and it was split right down party lines between left and right, embracing, left not so much embracing. So there you go. They do it right in Dubai. There's no taxes over in Dubai. So if you're over in Dubai and you're living large, then you're living large over there. Rye Guy says, all for what though? Total domination. There you go. Let's see what I'm trying to just go through some of the comments here. If you guys haven't done so, give a quick shout out where you guys are tuning in from. We've got our one and only Twitch viewer tunes in every time just to make sure that he's supporting the Twitch platform, which is, really important over there. So we need to keep that. We need to keep Twitch going over there. That's important. Here's Osman said, if tax was reasonably low for everyone, then people wouldn't mind paying. But they're almost asking for half your earning, and that's it. It could actually be higher. You think about, say you're paying 30, 35%, 40% tax on income. Then you have property tax, sales tax. You have every time, you go, there's extra gas tax that's built into the price of gas. So you start accumulating all these different taxes. It really is amazing how much of your earned income goes out the door in taxation. So here you had Mark says, come swallow, promises a tax not to exceed. That's right. You'll pay 75% of your income and you'll be happy. That's it. And that's how it goes. You'll be happy and have nothing because, you don't need anything to be happy according to them. Only the government needs to be fat and happy. Now, here's another one as we kind of go through. And this popped up. Thank you to Crypto Eddie for putting this up here. But how is it that Uphold in their Uphold Academy is cross-referencing XRP parentheses Ripple? People have gotten over this whole notion of Ripple back maybe 2017, 2018, when it was called Ripple, before it went through its full rebranding. It started going over to XRP, and it's like, okay, I get it. Now it's XRP. It's very clear. You have the XRPL, you have the XRP token, and Ripple is a company that's building a software platform. Has nothing to do with XRP at this point. There's no reason to cross-reference the two. Maybe it's clear, very clear now, why the SEC and Gary Gensler have got it so backwards and so wrong, because when you have a platform like Uphold that is still confusing it, then how do we anticipate Gary Gensler or the SEC to get it right when Uphold is still going to confuse the distinction between Ripple and XRP? And of course, I'm just joking about that, but I'm glad Crypto Eddie pointed this out. These platforms have to change. They need to just reference XRP. It's XRP. That's it. No other moniker required to it. And I like some of the commentary here, though. King Solomon said, my cheeseburger is McDonald's stock. Crypto Eddie was saying, how many fried dividends does that pay? I love, just to see, people can be, funny and comment on something that I think is still relatively serious. And we actually have a special guest that will be coming on hopefully in the next couple weeks that might, it'll be really interesting from one of these exchanges. So, all right, let's pull that back. Looking back and looking at some commentary here, we have Joe Bud. What is going on, Joe? Appreciate you. I truly don't mind paying 4% tax on my crypto to Hacienda, Puerto Rico tax board, and I don't fund wars in Ukraine and Gaza with my tax money. And Uncle Sam can't say, let's say anything. Can't say a thing. There you go. And he's got, you got a Ferrari over there? So, all right, let's keep moving on here. This one, we had Panos on not too long ago, if you guys remember. He came on, he was talking about the Anados finance platform and what he's doing, building over there. I just want to pull this up because as they're building, the question for their platform, and I believe he revealed it here, that they weren't going to have a token when we had him on, but token or no token. So he said, and I think this is really vital when you see projects that are building in the space, they want to grow in the space, they want to be an epicenter for crypto, and they want to attract community to use their platform, be satisfied with their platform. Do they have to have a token as part of the project? Is the token vital to the feature of their technology, or is it just a money grab? And so Panos is saying, I want to share some thoughts on where Anados is heading and what to expect. He said right off the bat, we've made the decision that we will not launch a token. We've had extensive discussion about a direction, particularly around the idea of launching our own token. For the last 4 months, we considered gradually transitioning into a DAO and creating a token to facilitate this. However, after careful consideration, we have chosen a different route. Why? Because at Anados, our hearts are set on crafting the next wave of financial solutions, the kind powered by blockchain that tackles real world issues head on. We're not just here to add another token to your wallet. We are here to change how you think about finance and the internet of value. We're here to empower the individual and give you all the financial tools you need. I love that. Spot on. Perfect. And let's see where they go with Anados Finance. As that project, they're not going to roll out a token that's just going to be a complete money grab. So some thoughts on the crypto space. Jim D, what do we got there? Jim D, face the reality. Americans have never been free. We're nothing but laborers. And a Neo, man, so serious. Hang on. Chip is leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when you'll be back again. Here, face the reality. Americans have never been free. We're nothing but laborers in a neo-feudalism that slaves you to debt the day you're born. You're taxed on labor, buying gasoline, and by inflation. Man, that's pretty solid. Solid statement. But they're also raising generations of laborers that go through school. Think about the majority of kids going through high school are being trained to be employees and not be business owners. They're being trained to become more subservient, limited in knowledge and know-how, whereas you have to really go and achieve and learn on your own. And by the time you get to college, it's the same thing. They're selling. We've talked about this before, but they're selling paper degrees because they've told everyone that in order to get a job, you need this paper degree, but you can get degrees in subject matter that will not get you a job and will be completely useless for the rest of your life. No accounting, no practical real world financial know-how, no hands-on experience in taking care of a household, whether it's from painting properly or retiling a house or plumbing or electric work. I mean, could you imagine? Just give people a little bit of tool to be successful in life, and look for people to gravitate to what they might be really good at. Some people are really good at working with their hands and crafting in different labors. It could be plumbing, could be electric, it could be lawn maintenance, could be one of those many projects that isn't always necessarily the one you have to look at to go down to. It could one that can elevate, and you can create an entire business around that, and you could be really successful. And you don't have to go and work necessarily for a huge entity and get paid small amounts. You can create. My next door neighbor is a contractor, and he's gets jobs from all over the place. I mean, it's amazing to me, how he gets connected in with other contractors that are building or whatever they might be doing. And he could be doing, I mean, the projects he does are crazy. Friend of mine does tiles. His tile work is probably better than anyone that I've ever seen. And you go into his house, and one time I go into his house, and he had his vestibule, and it looked like I was walking into like a subway station or a bathroom. He had the whole thing tiled floor to ceiling. And he said, he was just messing around. He just wanted to see what it would look like. And I look at those types of things, and you just wish that you would have had an opportunity from the beginning, maybe to look for certain avenues to get that kind of skill set. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, here we go. Let's get into some of this other stuff. Let's start with our buddy that everybody knows really, really well. And that is, who is this going to be? Oh, yeah, this is Charles Gasparino. And he's talking about the debate yesterday. So Gasparino, as we all debate the nutritional benefits of eating dogs, cats, and geese, the real story is being overlooked. The Joe Biden, Kamala Harris immigration policy literally dumped 20,000 Haitians on a town of 60,000. No warning, no federal aid to deal with integrating those people into a small city. It's a travesty, and that is the real story being overlooked. Thank you, Charles Gasparino, for pointing out what is the obvious, most critical point. You take a population center of 60,000 and you take 1/3 of it, so you grow it by 1/3, 20,000 Haitians that aren't accustomed to living in this country, no path towards integration, no path towards necessarily adjusting, learning English, whatever it might be. Any country, even any state that you move to, there's a time of integration, right? There's a period of time you have to get used to the environment, used to the customs, used to the ways, used to the climate, etc. And here they're taking them from another country. They don't speak English. They're not used to this environment. They're not used to our culture. If you go to Haiti, it's very poverty stricken. There's lots of problems over there. A friend of mine ran an organization where they're bringing medical supplies to the country and educating doctors and nurses on the use of certain equipment to make them self-sufficient, whereas the majority of outreach organizations, they donate and they'll send doctors and nurses, for instance, to provide the care, and then they leave the community with no care. They have to become self-sufficient. Lots and lots of problems. So now you're taking these individuals and you're dumping them into Ohio, like small town, small city, no support, no path, no nothing. And what has been happening, everything that we heard yesterday is what's been happening. Lots and lots and lots of problems. Are they getting eaten by dogs and cats? Are they eating dogs and cats? Well, there's lots of police reports that say they are, and we've got that to prove it. And you hear some commentary. Actually, I had this one already. And you kind of go down and you're like, what exactly is going on? Well, let's dig in. Let's look at some of the issues that might have been going on. But before we get there, we're going to go down one by one point by, and this is all very critical. And I also want to get into something that John Deaton had posted. And I can tell you, not my opinion whatsoever. And I was actually kind of shocked by the post. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But I do want to show one of the things that was said. And why is this so important to people that are passionate about crypto? Because when you have a choice to make, 2024 rolls around, it's good versus evil. It's set this country back on the path of freedom or take it away. Do you want gun confiscation or do you want to support the Second Amendment? Do you want freedom of financial earnings or do you want the government to be subservient to the government and over taxation and take every last dollar you earn and transfer it over to illegal immigrants that they're peppering all over the country? $25,000 or $150,000 for them to buy a house. What a travesty. What insanity. Can you trust any word that comes out of their mouth when we've witnessed what's happened over the past 3.5 years? Last night was no different. It was another twisting of logic, of rationale. It was a twisting of our own intelligence. But let's get into this, because one of the things they said was, we're talking about guns. And she said, no, she's not going to do that. Well, first of all, I highly question she's a gun owner, number one. So I'd really like to see proof of the fact, because she lies about a lot of different things. Her opponent, or her vice president candidate, I believe does. I think he said he was a hunter. Who knows? Like to see proof on that as well. But let's go down to the words that they speak and what they don't. So let's look at this.
This business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff.
I support buybacks, and it's something I'm so passionate about and so looking forward to being president to address. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
Mandatory. So everybody out there knows where these two candidates stand. So if you say you don't, if a debate because they're throwing around personal insults, maybe you don't like the way they talk, you know exactly where they stand. So if you can't make a decision or you refuse to vote, just know that a non-vote is a vote for the lack of freedom, is a vote for the Democrats, is a vote for Kamala Harris. If you don't vote, if you can't see that there's a clear path that you have to support, if you want to support freedom, you vote for Donald Trump. If you don't want freedom, you vote for Kamala Harris. It's a very clear path. And if you come out and you say, well, I didn't like such and such, therefore I'm not going to vote, that's not a good answer. Then I have to question your thought process for doing such a thing. And if you make those types of statements, then I have to honestly take a look and say, why are you saying that? And why would you portray yourself in a certain way and expect support? And so we're going to get into that later, though. I mean, something like this, it's so clearly obvious, where she stands, and she wants mandatory buybacks, mandatory. So it's too much. It's just too much, So let's go a little bit deeper here. Now we're going to keep getting into this. This is good stuff. This is so important to go through, and there's some great commentary, from the community as well. But I want to put this one up. This is just kind of like a top 5. Hang on, let's get to this. Let's see. Here we go. Colin Rugg put this one up, but one of the big questions of the ABC News moderators was, why didn't they fact check Kamala? Why did they let her lie over and over and over again when they know that she's lying and they don't call her out on it? So 5 fact checks. Mandatory firearm buybacks. We just showed that. Fine people hoax. It's already been shown over and over and over again that Trump did not say that. So they keep saying it because they think that people are stupid. They say that because they think that people are stupid. Why? Because they believe most people listen to sound bites. The majority of their voter base are idiots. They listen to and they only read those little sound bites. That's what they count on, and that's what they want. But it's crazy over and over and over again. Post-birth abortion, another proof that came out. Yes, they did, and it did happen. And there is commentary. We're going to show it. We're going to play it also. Defund the police. Not only did she want to defund the police, but she was actively supporting getting the protesters in Minnesota and beyond out of jail and raising funds for them, and came out and said they won't stop and they shouldn't stop. This is the type of person you're dealing with. She said her ideology hasn't changed. Count on that. Believe what she says. Then the bloodbath hoax, another one. Again, they don't call it. They did it. It's just amazing. It's amazing to me over and over and over again. And to boot, this democracy, they support their democracy, yet she got 0% of the votes in the primary. Joe Biden wins with 14 million votes. He's up there. They all knew that he wasn't mentally fit. She knew he wasn't mentally fit. She's around him all day long. All of a sudden, for it to be a surprise that one day he's mentally fit, the next day he's not, also BS. So she covered it up. Joe Biden covered it up. Others within his inner circle covered it up that he wasn't mentally fit. Nobody wanted her to be president. Therefore, they carry this hoax on as long as they could. Finally, it got to the point where in the debate with Trump, they couldn't hold it back any longer. So they put her in. It's amazing that they're not removing Biden and just putting her in to presidency. I think nobody really wants her there, but it's a crazy scenario to be in right now. And she's trying to separate herself from the past 3.5 years as though the past 3.5, 4 years didn't exist with her involvement. So she's part of the Biden. And that's what Trump did very, very well, was connecting her back to the Biden policies, because she's trying to separate herself outside of the policy, but she was part and parcel of the Biden economics, the Bidenomics, the Kamalanomics, whatever you want to call it. She's part and parcel with the problem. And she was the last person in the room before the Afghanistan invasion. Her fingerprints are all over everything they've done. That's who she is. What she said in a debate, and it's so stupid. There's no reason to even watch the debate. What she said, so what? She manipulates a few words. She says things a little bit different. She hasn't changed her tune. She's the same person she's been for the past 3.5 years. She's trying to go back when she was, an attorney. She doesn't talk about whatsoever. She didn't reference one time as vice president all the great things that have turned out. It's just nonsense. It's such nonsense. So, and then, as we're kind of researching and digging through stuff, I stumble on this one. I thought this one was really funny because this is very poignant based on what the outcome was. And this is the Babylon Bee. So not, it's obviously a parody. Democrats to replace Kamala on the ballot with the ABC moderators. Those two did a good job of attacking Trump and egging her on. They would kind of tee up the shot. They'd give it to her, and she would take the shot. They guided her into it, and it was insane. If Trump said something, they attacked Trump on stuff that is false. It was false accusation. He is proven 100% right after the fact. They're proven 100% wrong. I forget what this woman's name is, but she accused him multiple times of lying, and he did too. And it turns out that, oh, guess what? They were wrong. And the moderators, guess what? We're wrong. Thank you, Chip. Nobody cares. And guess what? They will not issue a retraction. No apology, no retraction, no nothing. The media is the epicenter of disinformation. This is what they do. They're going to create disinformation on crypto. They're going to create disinformation from a political perspective. If you try to separate politics out of crypto, you're missing the point. The politics and the cryptocurrency, freedom and decentralization are all intertwined together. If you don't have the understanding of who you're voting for politically, you're going to put the wrong people in. You're going to get Kamala Harris. You're going to get Elizabeth Warren. You're going to get Brad Sherman. The list goes on. You're going to get the list goes on and on. All these people, they're going to take away those freedoms and are going to jeopardize any type of innovation that you could have or any building that you could do in this country. Maybe it'll go all offshore someplace, but it's going to lose. It's going to be lost for sure within this country. It's such a clear it's such a clear perspective. It's like, swallow your pride. If you don't like what someone says, but you look at their actions and you say, you know what, their actions have been amazing. You look at Trump. I played that clip from 9/11, post right after 9/11, because there he was on the ground with people to help. And throughout, if you look at all these different clips and you read these books and you look at what his personal history has been over the years, he's always been out there trying to help. And he also is kind of in this one position from an ideology perspective. When Oprah Winfrey interviewed him, she go, "Oh, do you ever want to be president?" And he said only if he felt like the country really needed him. But his ideas, he's almost like the same person. You just take him from now and put him then, or then and put him now. He says almost the exact same thing, except the people that loved him and begged him for money for their political campaigns now hate him. That's the difference, because he's crushing their narrative, both the Rhino Republican, the Democrat Republicans like Mitt Romney or Cheney or the Bushes or all these others that have completely left the reservation, and they're just, they're no longer really Republicans. I mean, they're the establishment, and they're part of the uniparty. I should say that. They claim to be Republicans, but they're all part of the Bill Clinton, Obama. They're all part of that same uniparty, which is obviously very destructive to the overall outcome of our country. Now, I thought this one was interesting too. So let me put this up. And they're I was going through, I'm trying to find all sorts of crypto stuff for tonight. Say, you know what, people are probably done with, seeing the debate last night and hearing all the commentary. People were like, "Oh, I don't want to do this," but you know what, we got to do it. We got to grind through this, because hang on, let's see, let me pull this one up. This was she told David Muir that she would use executive orders for gun control. Even Biden was telling her that it wasn't. This is a previous debate. You guys might recognize it. So let me pull this one up, and I here we go. Let's see. All right, let's play it. Hang on a minute.
In recent days, former Vice President Biden has said about executive orders, some really talented people are seeking the nomination. They said, "I'm going to issue an executive order." Biden saying there's no constitutional authority to issue that executive order when they say, "I'm going to eliminate assault weapons," saying you can't do it by executive order any more than Trump can do things when he says he can do it by executive order. Does the vice president have a point there?
Some things you can, many things you can't.
Let's let the senator answer.
Well, I mean, I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional.
He said, "Let's be constitutional." What's wrong with her? She was drunk, right? I mean, you look at this. They obviously took her laugh away. She doesn't laugh anymore, but completely drunk. I mean, there's something wrong.
Well, I
with
mean,
her.
I would just say, hey, Joe, instead of saying no, we can't, let's say yes, we can.
Let's be constitutional. We got a
And
constitution.
yes, we can.
Look at that. Look at where Joe Biden stood, right? This is look at where he stood. We have a constitution. Let's be constitutional. Constitution, you can't do it. You can't have an executive order that goes against the Second Amendment. You can't do it. Even though with him and Obama, they did a lot of things that weren't constitutional, went to the courts, the Supreme Court, got thrown out. Now with her, yeah, they totally coached her, because not only did she sound crazy, but she sounds drunk, and she wants to use an executive order. So it's like the insanity. You can't rule. You can't rule by executive order. It's the worst thing to do, to watch, to do, to use an executive order, because the next president comes in, just overturns it, and it's gone. It's done. It's good for accomplishing certain things when it's going to be kind of short term. You have to, get something through, but it has to be limited. Something like what she's talking about goes right to the Second Amendment, right to the core, right to the heart of our Constitution. So, all right, what do we got here? 179 Autobots are watching Crypto Hulk. Worse than CNN. I honestly, Chip, I don't get it. I don't know why you get so many people. We have 400 plus tuning in right now between X and YouTube. We've got it's crazy. It's only see 58 over on YouTube, but a lot of our viewers are now over on X, which is amazing. We love X. I can't wait until Elon Musk decides that X is the preeminent video streaming platform for doing things like this, for podcasting and whatnot. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. 179 watching. What the, exactly? Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, what? I honestly just ridiculous. Okay, let's drill down here. We got some more good fodder to talk about. I like this one. Hang on, let me get rid of this one here. Why is this one not going away? Hang on one second. This went right to the core of it. Oh, there it is. Why did they put it way up there? So this is Insurrection Barbie. This is a resident from Springfield, Ohio. And you know what, we're gonna play this briefly. Now, I like seeing the people on the streets. I don't like watching the media because we know the media corrupts pretty much everything they talk about. So you start seeing stuff on the streets, you feel the passion, the emotion, the stuff that they're experiencing, the things that they've seen. Now let's listen to this briefly.
Fucking safe here, bro. Like everyone on TikTok, on Facebook, making these jokes to get everything fucking funny. Like, imagine you being homeless for a whole fucking year for no fucking reason. Like, what the fuck? This shit is not fun. This shit is not cool, bro. They really out here decapitating animals and y'all are making jokes out of it. Imagine if you went outside and you saw your dog's head decapitated on the fucking ground. Like, are you, dude, why are y'all thinking this shit's a joke? It's not a joke.
Now, I look at that and she goes on. She goes on for a little bit more, but saying how she doesn't feel comfortable. It's not fun. It's not funny. I mean, none of this, there's no levity or a humor to it. And these people are insane. The fact that they've allowed the open borders, when it comes down to this vote, and I'll say it time after time again, there's no option. You don't back out of voting. If you're an eligible voter, you go vote. And your choice is obvious. If you don't want freedom and you want government to support you, go vote for a Democrat. If you want safety and security, you go vote for Trump. It's very, very clear across the board. Now, if you're a candidate that's running for an office as a Republican and you come out and you say that you're not happy with the way a debate was and we need to bring people together, therefore I'm not voting, I really have to then start questioning the rationale and the logic with what you're thinking. Because if you're running for an office with a statement that you're running because you have to remove someone from office that is a danger to the safety, security of our country, and you won't vote for president, which is at the forefront of the safety and security of our country, then what's the point? There's no point at that point. It just makes absolutely no sense. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. Suck up your pride. Suck up the idea that people are using harsh words. Look at the actions. Look at the actions of Kamala Harris, what she's done over the past 3.5 years. Look at the actions of what Trump did during his term in office from 16 to 20. What was the status of our country over those 4 years? What happened in the past 3.5? Very clear. It's crazy to me how fast things have gone down at such a rapid pace, and people across the board are waking up. When Tulsi Gabbard and RFK can come together to support Donald Trump, then others that are out there that say they won't vote can also embrace Donald Trump. and they have to suck up their pride. And you know, whatever it is that is holding them back from coming out and voting. It makes absolutely no sense. And it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. Sometimes I think people in the crypto space have just lost their minds. I just think they're just crazy, right? Because it just makes no sense. It's like, how do you want freedom and then you're not willing to fight for that freedom? And you just want to be a crypto person and say, I believe in crypto and I'm going to invest in a speculative asset and I'm going to do all these great things. And then, you know, at the end of the day, you can't come out and actually support and do what's actually necessary to help protect the country or protect freedoms. I mean, I don't get it. It's just crazy. So here we have this one here. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is sending $2.5 million in dollars and state troopers to Springfield after illegal migrants take over. Oh, wait a minute. We said that it was fake news, that it actually wasn't happening. What? It wasn't actually happening? The governor says Haitian migrants are creating health and traffic issues. Now, we've been hearing reports for days that illegal migrants who have no insurance are crashing into innocent Americans and simply driving off. There's police report after police report, by the way. Why do people have to do these horrible clips? Why can't we just see just a stream of clips? There we go. I don't know if these are all connected to illegals or these are just a total of accidents that have happened. There we go. Look at that. A church in Springfield caused by a Haitian, by someone from Haiti, one after another. I don't know if all of them, but maybe they were. I don't know. You know, nothing to say bad about Haitians, but you have a problem with illegal immigrants that happen to be from Haiti that were dumped off in Springfield, and things are turning upside down in Ohio right now. We have a problem. We definitely have a problem. And the fact they can't acknowledge the problem is a problem. It's even more problematic. Now, dogs, cats, ducks, and people, what's up with that, right? So let me share this one. I gotta share this one. This is, everyone's talking about cats and ducks in this town, but I want to talk about a very special lady, my mother-in-law, who was killed by someone, an immigrant, illegal from Haiti. Right? Dogs, cats, ducks. This was yesterday. City commission meeting. Make sure the volume's up. Hang on a minute. This stuff is just, and they cover it up.
About the death of ducks and cats in this town, but I'd like to talk about the death of one very special person, my mother-in-law, Kathy Heaton. On December 1st, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. She was collecting her trash can from her driveway when a car struck and killed her instantly. A task she had done over 2,000 times, spanning 4 decades in Springfield. That morning, though, a Haitian immigrant was allegedly driving recklessly when he struck and killed her.
Allegedly driving.
I say allegedly because to this day, there's been no punishment. Not even.
So we don't have to play the whole thing. You kind of get the idea. What in the world is happening? Like, what in the F is happening? It's got to be fixed. We have 4 more years of this. Say goodbye to the country. It's going to be, battles in the streets. We can't put up with this kind of nonsense. You can't keep bringing illegals into this country and expecting them to integrate and they're not going to integrate. They don't want to be here. They're here because you're promising them handouts. You're giving them handouts. You're giving them handouts instead of getting Americans that need the support. They're not getting it. You're putting them up in hotels. You're displacing children from schools, and it just goes on and on and on and on. It's got to the point where, you have to say enough is enough, and that's it. It doesn't make sense. Does not make sense. I mean, it does, because you know what they want in the end, and what they want isn't what we want. So here you go, right here. Ohio AG knocks media over Springfield animal hunting claims. So here's from Dr. Malone. So when does ABC apologize to Trump? Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost on Wednesday accused the media of ignoring evidence surrounding claims Springfield, Ohio residents are having their pets abducted and eaten. The Attorney General. So, what in right? It's just that this stuff is crazy. All right, let's keep these going. Why? Because there's more. Now, this is the whole point of this is really just to show the whole point of what happens, what is on the other side, what are we defending against, what is the battle that we're in right now from the streets, the people in Ohio, the lies and deception that we heard from the media commentators, as well as the candidate Kamala, who was up on stage laughing about it as though Donald Trump was making it up. And he wasn't making it up. Why? Because this has been going on in your face, just like Hunter Biden's laptop was fake, or there's some Russia collusion hoax and the fake dossier, but that didn't really happen because it was real. And then the secret documents, that the classified documents that Trump has, but he has them because he's president. And guess what? He's allowed to have them. And then the classified documents that Biden has in the back of his Corvette and in his garage, that, by the way, he had those since he was a senator, and he was not allowed to have them. Not as senator, not as vice president. He was not allowed to be in possession of those documents. It was illegal. Yet the media doesn't focus on that. They only focused on only Trump. They came to Mar-a-Lago and caused havoc. They didn't go to Biden's home and cause havoc. We're in this duality of a legal system right now, duality of realities right now. And it's as though we were moving in the right direction. All of a sudden, two parallel universes meshed into one. And we got the crazy of this parallel universe. One day it was normal, next it wasn't. When it was normal? It was normal right before the election of 2020. As soon as we saw the fraud and deception, the other fraud and deception, we covered this. There was cheating that went on just from a statistical perspective. The media falsified the information, and what they claim is you had 154 million people vote, 75 for Trump, 81 for Biden, and then you have 168 million registered voters. Now there's 161. 7 million just disappeared all of a sudden. Every election up until 2020 had 60 odd percent show up of eligible voters show up to vote. Obama at the max had 68% of all eligible voters showed up to vote. 68%. And the media reports it that way. 68% of eligible voters showed up to vote for Obama. In 2020, when you read the media, just go online and Google it. Look at what they say. 66% of American citizens, 66% voted for Biden. Or no, sorry, 66% came out to vote. So if you read the numbers and you're not paying attention, you'll say, oh, well, it was 66. It's right in line with every other election. 64, 68, 66. The only distinction was that pre-2020 in those elections, it was based on eligible voters. In 2020, they reported based on citizens, the total 66% of the citizens in the U.S. The real number of eligible voters was 94%. 94% based on their numbers at 100 and what I say it was 154, whatever the number is. So 154 million, 168 million registered. Do the math. 93 point whatever percent, 93, 94% of eligible voters voted. That's BS. It's not statistics. It's never happened. It'll never happen. You'll never get 94% of all eligible voters voting. It's not going to happen in this election either. Obama, who is the biggest draw, everybody wanted to vote for him. They were lines down the street to vote for Obama. I was watching a poll watcher at one of the polls, and it was crazy. There was lots of stuff on the ballot. People came in. They were real voters. Took them 15, 20 minutes to vote. The Obama voters came in and left. All they did, they voted Obama. They didn't even vote down ticket. They voted Obama and they left. And that was it. And he had the highest number of voters ever in history. And it was still only 66, 68% of eligible voters came out to vote. So that's the fraud. So why won't people bring that up? Why won't people look at the statistics of it and say, hey, you know what? This is probably improbable that this actually happened, because it's never happened before and it won't happen again. It just it's so simple. It's simple math that they just won't look at. Here's another one. Let me pull this one up real quick. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
There was Haitians in a white van driving around the neighborhoods collecting cats.
Hang on. There was a point to this one. All right. Shoot. Now it's spiraling. Hang on. It won't let me play it. Hang on. Great. All right. Well, it's not going to let me fast forward it. Won't let me play that one. Let me get rid of this one. I was just going to play the beginning part of the clip, and they're talking about, again, people on the streets, and they're showing what's happening over there. It's crazy stuff. So here's let's see, more from the people. We heard from some of the people already. Let's see if I have another one here. There were people from the streets talking about, let's see. Oh, here's this one here. I gotta throw this one up. Hang on. Let's see if this, oh, there we go. So this, if we remember, Kamala said she never asked people to donate to the rioters in Minnesota. Oh, wait a minute. If you're able to, chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. So they act like there's no evidence of anything that they do, that it just doesn't exist. They do things, they know for a fact that the media is going to be complicit in covering up all of their activity, all their actions, and they'll bury it. And you do a simple search on X, on Google. This is how stupid people are for the most part. They won't even Google. Go on Google and read different things and figure out what's real, what's not real for yourself. You don't have to. I see so much commentary of, Chip posts something or I post something. They're like, oh, you're brainwashed. You just proves that you're brainwashed, that all you do is listen to Fox News. Well, you know what? Yeah, I know for a fact Chip reads multiple sources of news. I know that I go through and dig through is many different types of commentary and feedback. I don't have the patience to sit in front of a TV and listen to the talking heads drone on, but I'll go on, I'll watch short videos, clips, I'll listen to what the people say, I'll go and read stuff, and I've got enough brains in my head to analyze data that I know just from my own history, from my own travel, from my own experiences, I know how to analyze things. And Chip's right, Fox News, the last time it was good was Hannity and Combs. That was my favorite show. I used to love that because you had the two sides and they would battle it out and you got some reality out of it. It was a lot of fun. It's gone so far downhill, you can't watch it. But I can't watch any of the talking heads. My problem is I sit there and I listen to someone analyzing something and I've already analyzed it. I'm like, what do I need to listen to them pontificate over something that I've analyzed in my own brain? Why is this news personality any smarter than I am to understand what happened in this situation? But yet I dig in. Maybe I've been to that country. Maybe I've been there. Maybe I've had experiences there. Maybe I've read the history. Maybe I've read multiple histories. Maybe I understand all these different directions and I can put all the pieces of the puzzle together in my own brain and figure it out. And then I see people on X or commentary and from their comments and their feedback that their life experiences are limited. They haven't read, they haven't experienced, they haven't looked out. They piece together so much conspiracy and false information to compile their thought process. And it's so predictable and so obvious when you see it. And I've seen it over and over and over again, and it just, you call it out. You're like, oh, I can tell where they came from. I know what their political affiliation is. I know what their background history somewhat, in terms of mental state. It's amazing to me, how how it kind of all unfolds. And this is so obvious. So why are you going to sit and listen to those talking heads in the media pontificate, the ones getting paid millions of dollars? They're getting millions of dollars to what? Who said they're reading? There we go. They're reading teleprompters. That's it. And it's hypocrisy at the highest level. It's horrible. Horrible. Look at this commentary here from Osman. Uncontrolled immigration will bring any country down. It's obvious. Immigrants that don't want to integrate into the system need to be sent back wherever they came. Let them leave the country. There always should be conditions on every country you go to. There's got to be some level of integration. If not for yourself, then for the betterment of the community. Or why are you moving there? Like, why do you want to move to that country if you don't want to embrace their culture? Like, what is the passion? Unfortunately, it happens in this country, and not because they don't want to be here, but people come here a lot of times, like from Latin American countries. You see it all the time. I've seen it from other countries, to where they go to where they immediately feel comfortable, right? They want to be here. They're passionate about being here, but they go to the communities they feel comfortable in, like with the Latin American community, will go to where they speak Spanish. If they're Venezuelan or Cuban or whatever, they see, though not overall, but I mean, in a generality. And then it's good and it's bad. It's good because you're in the country you want to be in, surrounded by people that share, similar culture and language and all those things. It's bad because now there's no challenge to go and learn the language. So you have a lot of people that have been here for many, many years that still don't speak English very well, again, good or bad. But then you have people that come here illegally. They don't even care. They don't care to speak English. They don't care to integrate. They're not looking for others within their community. They're here because the government promised that they're going to give them handouts. And then that's it, nothing more, it's just, it's just crazy. I know I'm ranting on here a little bit, but here's another one. Hang on. We're going to keep digging through these. Here we go. Here's another one. Let's put this one up. Hang on a minute. So this was Moon Lambo. Thank you very much. He put this up. To my followers on the left, this is what Trump referenced during the debate last night that you were so sure was false. Of course, it's not abortion since a baby was delivered. It's allowing a human to die. That's what this guy was supporting. The fact check was BS. Exactly. The moderators are so full of it. Virginia's governor endorsed post-birth abortion. Thank you, Hodge twins. Trump was right again. Once again, they spin these narratives, and then they just keep pushing, false information. That's what they do best. But here, we only have to hear the beginning of the clip because we don't have to go too far into it. It's like 2 minutes, but it's like 10 seconds in.
No exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion, even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure, and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you first thing I would say is this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities. There may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what
you can keep digging into what he's saying, but the whole point is that you're going to use it. He's talking about maybe an isolated incident. Maybe he's talking about, but they're talking about killing a baby, a deformity. Is it going to die anyways? Are you killing it? Are you leaving open the loophole you're leaving it to make a decision at any point, because that's what they talk about? Just because they always say, oh, rape and incest, you can't have abortion because of rape and incest. Okay, let's say that was the only cause, that was the only case. So just do that, and just, and keep it in very limited instances. But no, they open it up, and once they have that, then they're like, okay, they can kill, they can have abortions freelance whenever they want, and that's it. There you go. It's just at 35, it's crazy. It's crazy to me that this is normal behavior, that it now comes down to a decision, because before it was, oh, my body, my choice. Okay. It's no longer, first of all, it's not, I mean, you can get into the conversation, but now you're talking about a baby that's born and you're making a decision. I mean, I just, that's a whole different conversation to get into, and people have differences of opinions on how to get in that. But I don't like how they twist narratives, and they use double speak, and just the way it's portrayed is just so bad. Chip, where is it? Is it at the top? Is it at the bottom? Is it at oh, there it is. All right. Play this. Okay, let's play this. All right, let's play it. Let us see about playing this. See if we can pull this up. Hang on a minute. Hang on. How long is it? ABC just lost the debate for Kamala. Okay, here we go. Let's pull this up. Let's see what this says.
Holy smokes, this debate could not have been worse for the Harris campaign. It could not have been any worse. And the sad thing is, she actually looked pretty good on stage, but the moderators and ABC ruined it for her. You got to remember, folks, campaigns are two things: sound bites and snapshots. People aren't going to remember most of what happened tonight except for
That's right.
this. The moderators at ABC allowed Kamala Harris to stand on that stage,
And her mic was
over
hot.
and over and over again, lying to people.
Mhm.
Lied about her record, lied about her involvement in the Biden-Harris administration, lied about her positions, lied about everything.
It's crazy.
Lied about her
Yep.
VP candidates' positions. She just made shit up. She lied about everything, and the moderators let her get away with it. Yet the same moderators seem to have prepared clarifications for the things that they suspected that Donald Trump was going to bring up. And most of those fact checks were not true. And everyone knows it, because people aren't stupid. The
Mhm.
American people are not dumb. We're very well researched. We're educated people. We understand what's going on in this country. And those moderators just treated you, America, as though you're too stupid to know better. They allowed Kamala Harris to lie repeatedly, and then they tried to take Donald Trump down themselves.
Mhm.
What people are going to remember from this debate is very simple. Kamala Harris was not prepared to take on Donald Trump by herself. She needed moderators to do the work for her. And now it makes sense why she had to have her VP candidate sitting next to her when Dana Bash interviewed her with CNN. She needed somebody else to do her dirty work for her, to protect her. And how do you think the American people are going to feel when they have to go into a voting booth in the next couple of weeks and make a decision about who they want sitting across the table from the world's thugs and dictators, negotiating the biggest challenges that our country's ever faced? Do you think they're going to want someone like Kamala Harris, who can't even get on a debate stage and debate Donald Trump in good faith? Or do you think they're going to want someone like Donald Trump in that room, who just mopped the floor with 3 people at the same time?
Boom. Look at that. Mop the floor with 3 people all at the same time. So there you have it. That's the distinction. Very clear, very obvious. Let me while we're going through this stuff. Now there's one more comment here. Hang on one second. How do you, there we go. So weird how it's doing that now. So this is interesting too. This is Patrick Bet David. If you guys have ever saw, read any or watched his stuff during the Biden-Trump debate, Jake Tapper and Dana Bush interrupted or corrected Trump not one single time. Tonight, the ABC moderators, David Muir and Lindsay Davis, interrupted or corrected Trump 11 times. Tonight was 3-1. Kamala did her best to agitate and try to get under Trump's skin by bringing up certain lies. Project 2025. She claimed that he said he'll terminate the Constitution. She never said. Misusing bloodbath. Charlottesville, January 6th. He wants to be a dictator. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment, the worst pandemic in the last century. All BS. Trump followed through to try to get under her skin. They left the tariffs Trump left on China for 3.5 years. She hates Israel. She doesn't have a plan. It's like 4 sentences. I was going to send her a MAGA hat. Her father's a Marxist. He taught her well. His vice president pick abortion in the 9th month. Her boss spends most of his time on the beach. They didn't fire anyone. I'm sorry. I like that. That was the best. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm talking now. Does that sound familiar? That was probably the best line in the whole thing. She's Joe Biden's. This is a crooked. Her highlight of the evening, abortion topic. That's all they have. That's all they ever have. They always go back to that. They always go back to that. And she did say that he was going to cancel the Constitution. Like, what kind of insanity? It just doesn't make any sense. It's so crazy. Homie saying, I don't know. Yes, it was unfair. We knew it would be 100%. We knew it would be. Don was prepared. If he prepped with some details and facts, he could have crushed them. Hopefully this won't move I don't think it's going to move the needle. Where it did move the needle, actually, they did do polls during. They said independents resolutely supported Trump in the debate. Without a doubt, independents are coming out for border security, for removing illegals, and for financial freedom and improve the financials across the board. Lots of polls that came out had Trump well ahead. I don't think, I think it was probably already there a lot. I don't know, that it's won't move the needle on the Democrat side. I don't think his downfall eating dogs. But the thing is, it's happening. It happened and maybe not dogs. It was cats. It was ducks. It was geese. They're going to the lake over there. Then they're collecting the geese and ducks and killing them and eating them. So biggest marketing mistake of the night. Kamala thought it was a good idea to say, I invite you to go to one of Trump's rallies. People leave the rally early. Terrible idea. When you have zero moral authority of not doing any rallies, Trump's marketing team can and will easily use this as a clip to drive to his rallies. That's going to be awesome when they use that. His last observation, Kamala kept looking at him, mocking him when he was speaking. She did, and she was doing her pose and her laughing and her looks and her eyes. Trump didn't look at her one time. He didn't even acknowledge her like she wasn't even there. Thoughts on the moderator when they asked Kamala when they asked if Kamala has met Putin, why didn't you follow up on the question? We never got an answer. She just danced around the answer. Even though they interrupted Trump consistently, they did better than expected. It was obviously 3. David Muir did his best to be fair to both. I give him an 8. I don't know about that. I disagree with Pat. I think this is where Patrick Bet David loses it. I've heard him in this commentary like this before. I think I completely disagree. David Muir did his best to be fair. I don't think he did his best. I think it was a plan. For the most part, the questions were fair, but then they attacked Trump on certain things. They never attacked her. That's not fair. He's doing his best to be fair when he specifically went after Trump, and they claim that he needed to be fact-checked, and they never fact-checked her once on any of the lies. He's not doing his best. I would give him a 5, give her, because she was super vindictive and aggressive, give her like a 3. Lindsay Davis asked one of the toughest questions of the night of Kamala, even though you can tell she didn't like Trump. I give her a 7. I don't know. for whatever reason, it seemed like Lindsey Davis went 20 to 30 minutes without asking a question. It did seem that way because my son came and he was watching it and his feed was further ahead. And he goes, what? He goes, what? I said, what are you watching? Why is there a woman talking next to him? I said, what are they talking over him? He said, I'm watching ABC, and I was watching it on Fox News, I think. And so I'm looking at his, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, this don't she wasn't even there. It was just too much. Kamala sounded like a condescending aunt lecturing kids. Trump sounded like an angry patriot defending his nation. I think this was on purpose. Trump knows media, knows TV, prepped for it. I think he did exactly what he set out to do. I think there were some sound bites that he could have got in there to hammer her home even more, but his objective was to tie her to Joe Biden and connect her back to all the bads of this administration. I think he did a pretty good job doing that, connecting the track and showing how upset he is. He was in the embodiment of the emotions that the majority of the people watching, feel. He had to embody that, right? So people are watching, and they're upset. They're on the edge. We're worried about illegals. We're worried about the chaos in the streets. We're worried about our financial situation of this country. Everybody's worried about it. That was the embodiment. That's what came across. So I thought that was really, really passionate. So that was good. Here you go. Mark Smithson, what's up? Thank you for the super sticker. And on the way out of here, I've got to bring this up only because, I've referenced it. And, I have a lot of respect for John Deaton. I think that he's done a great job in supporting the crypto community, put himself out there when he didn't have to. He's got, an amazing story. He's done a phenomenal job for himself. I have all the respect in the world. This is the one area where I completely disagree. And I think it's a mistake. I think it's a really bad move to come out publicly the way he did. There's one candidate, in my opinion, I'll read mine. He completely lost me with this statement. There's only one candidate that has a track record of protecting this country and making this country great. No wars, was doing things overseas that no one else has ever been able to accomplish. Things were going to be amazing in the Middle East. If there was another 4 years, they were going to pull everything together over there. Yeah, things were changing. You can't have bipartisanship when one party in totality has done everything in their power to undermine the economic and security stability of this country. It just isn't possible, but I look at John Deaton's comment here and I'm really confused. It bothers me a lot. Elizabeth Warren has to go. We have to remove her, but we can't have her out and have somebody else come in that isn't going to do what needs to be done and isn't going to show up for votes and vote the right way to support the country. So I really hope that he retracts somehow, explains somehow, comes out, and explains his commentary here. But he said tonight's debate only served to highlight the continued dysfunction of politics. I share the disappointment of so many Americans. Politics is dysfunctional. It's a battle. It's a fight, and it's not always good. You can't bring it down to a debate. Debates in many cases are just useless. It's fodder for the TV. It brings more eyeballs to TV. Maybe you get to know the candidate because you've done zero reading to understand who these candidates are ahead of time. But he said the candidates relied on personal attacks, divisive rhetoric, misrepresented facts, and failed to provide constructive solutions for the challenges facing the nation. The same brand of politics. He's lumping them both in there. Trump talked about the things that he did for this country. They did not ask them specific questions. They didn't bring him back to those questions. They called him out. He brought up exact examples of things that are happening in this country. They said that he lied about it. Kamala Harris has no policy, has no way to negotiate and argue over it. And so she was bullet points. So I agree, there's definitely a dysfunction of politics. There was a lot of personal attacks. There's always going to be divisive rhetoric. And I think John Deaton sees it as well. If you read his X post, there's a lot of divisive rhetoric that's going around between him and Elizabeth Warren. He's putting it out there. You're always going to have that, and you've got to be on the attack. She's using it. He's using it as well because he's got to brand her for who she is, and there's nothing wrong with it. But he's telling the truth. I'm talking about John Deaton, about Elizabeth Warren. But here he said it's time we return to the common sense bipartisanship focused on fixing our broken political system and getting government back to work for the people. And what we saw tonight underscores both why I choose to seek office and why I'm not voting for either candidate. Now, maybe he's going out to vote. There's no other candidate to vote for. This is the wrong choice, in my opinion. All right. Again, all respect to everything that he's done. It is a bad move. I think it's a really bad move from a perspective that if you're running because you think you need to get government back on track and you're not going to vote and you get in office and you have a Democrat in office, your position there, what are you going to do? You're going to be at a stalemate. You're not going to accomplish anything either. You're going to get there and you're not going to fix the political system. I've helped candidates get elected. I've seen them in office. I've seen the ones that are passionate about making change, and they don't last long. Now we're seeing, the differences. They're being attacked on every level. Times are different right now. You have to be divisive. You have to be aggressive. There is some bipartisanship that can happen. We need to get. I always believe in the pendulum. We're going to be right of center. We have to get back to the pendulum. The left has brought it so far to the left. We have to do everything in our power to bring it back to center. To not vote, to not understand the dynamics of what Trump represents, to bring this country back to center and bring it slightly right of center where it belongs. I don't get it. Again, completely lost on me that the commentary here. I can't even believe I didn't even post it up here. I'm reading it. I'm looking at it. I'm reading my commentary. I'm looking at it, and you guys are like, why is he looking off to the side? But I was referencing this tweet here, and there was lots of comments. I commented. I believe it's critical to unseat Elizabeth Warren. At the same time, I also know that it's critical to recognize the division in this country and truly understand how to overcome it. We know where both candidates stand. We know that we know what Trump accomplished in the 4 years he was in office. We also know exactly to the letter how this debate would go. We knew what the outcome was going to be. No secrets, no surprises. Trump 2024. And that was that. Why your comment was like right here, and now it's not. Hang on. There it is. So, I didn't even see that first. I saw Chip's comment first. Oh, you know what? I thought I liked this one. So I saw Chip's. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta put up a comment there as well. How can there be bipartisanship when one party embraces Marxist ideals? When Democrats push for open borders, there's no longer any common ground. Bipartisanship is an illusion. To Democrats, bipartisanship means Republicans must fold. They did everything possible to keep RFK Jr. out of the Democratic Party primary. Tulsi Gabbard, another example. The Democrats have become the party of war, censorship, and high taxes. Where is the bipartisanship in that? It's time to choose a side. You have to choose a side. You can't be a fence sitter. It doesn't work. You can't always, you can play on both sides. It happens. You go to Washington, and I'm sure all these guys go along to get along. There's bipartisan bills. You also have to get over stuff, right? You look at RFK and Tulsi Gabbard came to the table to support Trump. Do they see eye to eye and everything? No. But the one thing they see is the Democratic Party is lost. The Republican Party with some of the rhinos, they're on the same side with the Uniparty and those that are pulling far left. We have to bring it back to center. You have to choose a side. You can't be a fence sitter. You can't not vote. Not going out to, I don't know if he's not going to vote. He just said he's not voting for either one of them. Maybe there's someone else to vote for on the ticket. I don't know. That's up to him. But it just, so Osman is saying, question for Jeff and Chip. If you were the moderator of the debate, what would you ask Kamala? That's a good one. What would I ask her? That's a really, really good question. But I don't think there's just one question. I think it's a whole series of questions. I'd want to know and go back and call her out on all of the lies and hold her to task on policy. But we already know where she's coming from. We already knows what she stands for. There's nothing that I'm going to gain out of her She keeps going back to when she was a prosecutor. Okay, how did you get your position in power? What talk about that inappropriate relationship that you had that brought you that elevated you to that next level. Let's talk about your history. Let's talk about your politics. Let's talk about all your decisions. Let's talk about anything within policy. Let's talk about the border. What are you actually going to do about the border? How are you actually, what is your game plan for that? How are you going to secure our overall borders? How are you going to stop the war in the Ukraine and Russia? How do you end that? How do you help? How do you get rid of Islamo-fascism and Islamo-terrorism? You could go on and on and on. I mean, there's so much more to it. It's a whole show. We could ask one thing after another. I mean, yeah, exactly. How are you broke the economy? How are you going to fix the economy? You broke our border. How are you going to fix the border? How are you, I mean, there's so much that you could ask. I mean, that's a really good point. I like that. I like that a lot. And then hold her to task. That's the one thing they didn't do is, okay, answer the question. All of them, they let them meander off. Okay, I want to come back to that question I just asked. I'm not going to go on to the next one. I'm not going to allow rebuttal. I want you to answer the question that I just asked. Here, and once you establish, answer the question. What's your policy? Okay, no, don't, no lies. Don't distort. You can say how you're different, but I want to know what your policy is. Like, what are you going to do specifically, or what have you done? Here's what you've done over the past 3.5 years. Why should we believe that you're going to do anything different? I mean, it's just really, solid points there. But man, there was so much. I'm looking. Oh my God, I can't believe it's 1:40. I don't know what happened. Chip, you're not here to rein things in. What happened? This is crazy. So here you have some. Look up full in the dictionary. There's a picture. He said this bozo, partisan, half-wit, dropped. What is he talking about? You, Chip? Was some talking about you? He said, and you said, where am I wrong? And he said, good old Chipper. I don't know what the heck's up with that. You go through some of this stuff. Bingo, you need common ground to bring sides together. You do. Kona saying that she thinks Dean was spineless, pissing me off so bad, his comments. He's a fence sitter. You got to make a decision. Joe said the other day, he said Deaton is anti-Trump. He kept saying that. And he said, now do you see Deaton is anti-Trump? Like I told you guys last week, when Biden was showing his senility, Deaton kept saying age, trying to throw Trump into the same bag as senile Joe. He never supported Trump. Deaton will end up selling Trump out. Now, at the same point, I know that Massachusetts is a very kind of left of center area. You can't come out and be vocally supportive of Trump. He can embrace Trump. You look at like RFK. I think there's a lot of independents in Massachusetts that would vote for John. There were a lot of people within the crypto space that are supporting him or will support him financially. To help his campaign. He has to pick a side. I think he made a big mistake there. Have to oust Elizabeth Warren. He's got to embrace Trump. Win, come out, embrace Trump. If he endorsed Trump, Trump would help. It's a tough one. He's got to run his race. I don't know Massachusetts. I'm not going to pretend to know Massachusetts in any way, shape, or form, the breakdown of what it's like. But I know it's kind of like running in Broward County, South Florida. It's predominantly Democrat. You run here as a Republican, there's a high probability chance you lose. You run against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, even with the independents, you can probably win, but it's hard to win. It's been hard to beat her here, and there's never been a solid candidate. I was at a meeting and they had some school board members running in Broward County, and they were all men. And so afterwards, there's one guy here, and he does all the statistics of the outpolling, and he said, I told you in advance that men historically have never won school board seats in Broward County ever. Historically, ever. They don't vote for men. Republican women have won. Men have never won You shouldn't. It should have been, there should have been a woman running. And so there's situations like that where you go into it and you're like, hey, you know what? This is the facts on the ground. Probably not going to happen based on the makeup of the district or whatever it is. I'm assuming, John did all of his research, looked at everything, knows exactly what's going on. But, in terms of what it may take, but he didn't have to come out and bash Trump either. He didn't have to say stuff like that. I think that was the bad part. He talks about being divisive and he comes out and he's divisive. That part I just disagree with. Chip is saying, just say I'm voting for my party and leave it at that. Exactly. How can you expect people to vote for you if you're not willing to vote for your party? That's so succinct. Chip said that to me earlier. And how do you expect people to come out? Yeah, exactly. You're not willing to support your party. You're not supporting the president, the presidential candidate that's going to bring the country back on track because you're worried about the way a debate went. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, and then you want people to come out and vote for you. I just don't. That part, it's really troublesome. And I disagree. Chip said we should have been, on the advisor committee, and we should have been there and said, look, let's look at this from a geopolitical perspective, and not just a Massachusetts centric perspective, and see exactly what can come of this. So I've been on now for about an hour. I've lost everybody on YouTube. We had half the viewers on YouTube dropped out because we're on here way too long. So I'm going to call it at this. This was a lot of topic to cover. Typically be Chip and I bantering, and one of us is like, hey, it's time to leave. So now it is time to go. It's time to say goodbye. Appreciate all of you guys for joining us. It's always great to see you guys. We'll be back here Saturday in the AM, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's all I've got. And that's it. I am out. I'm still on YouTube. You're on YouTube. Appreciate all of you guys. Appreciate seeing all the commentary, seeing some of the new names that scroll through here as well. And that's it. That's all we got. I am out of here. See ya.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.